Good evening. I'm just waiting for Hayley to join us. It may take us a minute or two. We had a little practice earlier today, just to check that we could get the live working because we had some challenges last week. So hopefully we should be good to go as soon as Hayley joins us in a minute. I apologise. I'm a little bit snotty and bunged up. So just typical man flu time of year. Not a serious case. So hopefully Hayley will be with us in a minute. How's everyone doing? I don't think anyone's actually watching, but if you are watching this... Hayley wants to join your video. Here she is. Okay, hopefully she'll be joining. So thank you for all your suggestions for topic. We had a vote on Hayley's page. Hi Hayley.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Well, that was smooth, which is good.
I know.
We're here and I can hear you and you can hear me, and that's great.
Oh, bless you, sound so bunged up.
Yeah, when we did our little trial test earlier, I was feeling fine, and now it's just come back again.
Oh, well, thank you for still showing up.
It's all right. It's all good. I mean, it's not a lot of effort to sit in a chair in my house and look at a screen, so it's pretty much what I was doing anyway.
Yeah.
So how are you? Are we all good today?
Doing good. Excited for tonight. Have some
It's
good mindful chats. Pardon?
a nice topic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and it's nice that it was voted by everyone as well.
Yeah.
It's the topic that most people want to hear about, so that's nice.
Well, I think we can all relate to the topic of emotions and stress, right?
Yeah.
Especially in today's world.
Yeah, yeah.
So shall we kick off? Shall we
Let's
begin?
do it. Let's go.
We had a very brief chat actually, and maybe this, I don't know if this is starting with the right topic or not, but you were just talking about a type of meditation, weren't you?
Yeah.
Stress. So let's just start there. Why not?
Yeah, so it was actually on Headspace. If anyone knows Headspace on Netflix, really good series to watch. It kind of gives you a bit of the wisdom part of it, the scientifical benefits of it. Scientifical, don't think that's a word. Scientific benefits of it. I'll make it one now. And yeah, I like to know the why. So this one was all about managing stress, and they done a study of participants who have a lot of stress in their lives, and they split them into two, and they did one side of the group as doing a noting technique, and the other half of the group, they did other mindful practices just without the noting technique. And the noting technique was simply in meditation or your self-care practice, yoga, whatever it might be, you're just noting when your mind goes into a story, and it's just about not having that judgment around it, and just kind of more cheering yourself on and being like, okay, I'll note that as I went off thinking, and come back to the breath or come back to the counting, and just keep practicing that and seeing it as really normal that our monkey minds will want to wander off. And it was not so much of doing this for every single thought, it was just when you get lost.
Yeah.
So then just simply noting it. Really, it's like the simple practices are the best. It sounds really simple, but when you're practicing this, it really does help you to stay more present, have more awareness. And I think when we're rewiring our minds in that way, we experience that in everyday life, the more peace and more presence. And it also said about just recognizing how you're feeling before you tune into your meditation or self-care practice, and then just be mindful and notice how you're feeling after, because then we're much more likely to come back to it and stick to a more of a routine, because I think it's the consistency that's the most important part as well.
I often talk about this when I teach meditation classes. There are these crazy expectations that to meditate we must kind of cross our legs and float off into the ether and completely blank our eyes, but it's just not possible. Like, we're human and we're busy. So It's very, very difficult indeed to be able to do that. That's like years and years and years of master practice to be able to do that sort of stuff. So
Yeah,
I think a lot of the reason that people say, "Oh, I can't meditate," is judgment. It's the self-critic. So it's exactly what you talked about. When things come into the mind, don't judge them. Just say, "Oh, it is what it is. It's an experience." And you note it,
yeah,
or recognize it for what it is, and let it pass. And then, as you say, refocus. And breathing is a great example. We're going to do some pranayama practice at the end of this video as
yeah,
well, aren't we? But that is almost a distraction, isn't it? It's a distraction for your mind. So when you're focused
yeah,
on doing that thing, you're not thinking about shit. So
yeah, yeah.
uh, yeah, I talk about that a lot when we do meditation practices, because I don't want people to go in with this crazy expectation that just isn't realistic.
Yeah, and I think it's those expectations as well, isn't it? We're always, my mum actually told me this one, expectation is premeditated disappointment. Mum, if you're watching or you're watching the replay, let me know if I got that right or wrong. Something like that. But you're setting yourself up for failure, really, because
Oh yeah,
it's never going to go how we expect. But if we just release the expectations, which is easier said than done,
yeah,
it will go as it's meant to go. I believe it always works out how it's meant to work out, whether that's how we want or,
whatever
you know,
happens. Yeah, right.
yeah, yeah. I
Um,
think it's usually the labels of how we want it to go that cause our suffering.
mhm. So let's talk stress before we talk emotions,
Yeah.
because stress can lead to emotions, or
Mm.
well, both ways actually. It can go either way. But um I'm a massive stress head.
Yeah.
And if
Me
people
too.
people sometimes say, "Oh no, you're so calm, you're so serene and relaxed." Like, no, I'm nuts inside. That's why I do all of these things.
Yeah.
That's why I do these practices,
Yeah. Same.
because I'm a loony bin. um
Yeah.
so
Same.
stress is a massive factor in my life, and probably hereditary, because my mum's a bit of a stress head, bless her, as well. She'll be openly admitting that. She won't mind me saying that. And just stress is just a factor of life, and particularly modern life.
Mm.
But I think that we're conditioned to not even recognize stress a lot of the time, or to ignore it or push through it. So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I can definitely relate. Sometimes I feel like I'm this like duck on the water where it like looks on the outside like it's just flowing and
Yeah,
everything's like great and you're painting these smiles, but the feet underneath are like going like mad and mental.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, I definitely have found that all the practices in a more of a daily routine and everything that I've learned has helped me to manage it more. But I used to just plummet and just get so burnt out and overwhelmed. And I think it was like not even wanting to look at it or feel it and just be like,
Hmm.
just go away. And then the more I resisted, the more it just comes and bites you on the ass. So the more I encouraged myself in more of a curious, loving way to feel what was coming up in the moment. And this is still a practice for me because feeling my emotions is probably one of the hardest things for me. But I'm definitely better than I was yesterday, and I'm happy with that. But yeah, I think back in caveman days, there was a different kind of stress, right? It was about like when you get in your next meal and running away from all the lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my! But now we make up all these scenarios. It's not like a bear going to jump out the closet, but we're still experiencing the fight flight and the heart palpitations and the anxiety, but it's coming from our mind. It's like we're creating that emotional response from purely thinking about something. I'll just go off in my mind and start thinking about something, and your subconscious mind has no idea what's right really in front of you and what you're imagining. So we create those same emotions. So why am I bringing up all this stuff in the past, reliving it,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm safe? I just have to remind myself in those moments, look around, I'm safe, like this is just in my mind and I can choose differently. And just again, it's a practice every time, and it's about being really patient, compassionate and loving to move through those.
I'm curious, because I've got a few ideas, but what do you think are the things in society that have all the, like the sayings or the ethics or the general feel in society about the things that teach us to push through stress rather than deal with it?
The programming of like the everyday hustle, right? Go to work 5 days a week, 9 to 5, and then you've got to come home, feed the kids, get the dinner on. It's like we actually have no time to sit with ourselves and to feel what we need to feel. So that in itself, I think, is a big one. And we're always needing to be on the go. I definitely know that was one of my escapisms, in keeping myself too busy so that I didn't have to feel. And feeling's uncomfortable anyway, really. I only wanted to do it because I realised that was the only way out. The only way out is through, and to sit with it. You can't go around it. You can't go over it. You gotta go through it. Fuck. Why? Why do I do that? And we develop all these things, you know, like can even be coffee, addictions to the phone, addictions to our own thoughts, smoking, keeping ourselves busy. It doesn't have to be the conventional addiction that people are like numbing and using to escape. Like there's lots of other ways that we're and I think it's about recognizing those and seeing them as, oh, is that a way that I'm kind of escaping and not wanting to feel in some way?
I think that, and perhaps I'm maybe speaking from a male perspective here, because growing up, the world taught me you need to work hard, you need to push through, you need to be strong, don't show your emotions, that's weakness. You know, no one said to me, feel how you feel, or it's okay to cry, or you know, you could have a day off today, or you feel sick, so, you know, rest up. No one said any of that. Like, you know, push through, keep on going, you can do it. You know, strive for more, work harder, all of these crazy things. And I just think we just still live in this, as you mentioned, like going to work particularly, we live in this place of, if you want to get somewhere, you've got to work for it. You've got to work hard for it. If you know, and I think a lot of the stress comes from people's expectations of achievement.
Yeah.
And the reality
is, what we're told when we're young as well, what we're told as children really have an impact.
Everything at school is about achievement. Everything.
Yeah.
It's all grades based. It's all what do you want to do in the future. Pick your options now, and you know.
Yeah.
And
you have to know what you want to do. I never did.
Most adults,
and that was wrong, you know. Pardon?
Most adults don't know what they want.
No, I know. Most people are just like wandering around like, what are we meant to be doing?
Like
and it's like normalizing that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so many stories that we're told and that we must strive for more all the time.
Yeah.
But actually, no one said, you know, if you were to sit back and say, you know, hey, I don't have a job, people are like, oh, you're lazy.
Yeah.
Am I lazy, or am I taking care of myself right now? Do I need it? Do I really need it? Like, you know, but it was just seen as lazy, which is nuts.
All the judgment that comes from it as well. And then the fear that other person feels, that what are other people going to think of me?
Yeah.
I definitely think as you get older, you care less what other people think. But yeah, that's always something that's played on my mind and held me back. And I just think if you're on your deathbed, all these people that you probably don't even know anymore, that you allowed what you thought they think of you to like hold you back and not go after your dreams. Just think, oh no, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, they're the stressors. I think that is what causes a lot of the expectations of other people, or at least your thoughts of expectations of other people.
Yeah.
Because in reality, actually, the people that you know and love probably just want you to be happy.
Yeah.
So actually, often it's the thoughts of others' expectations.
Yeah.
Not even
and the stories we're telling ourselves about it. Yeah. So we're making up shit about them that doesn't even exist, of our perception of it.
All the time. And I don't know about you, but I'm that kind of person that's awake at 2 a.m. having an imaginary argument with someone over something that never actually happened. And then I wake up more stressed.
Yeah, same. I'm always that person that thinks of a good comeback like 10 seconds later or a few hours later, and it's too late. And I'm like, why didn't I say that? And you're imagining how it would have gone. But it went exactly as it was meant to go.
You replay it for years.
Oh, yeah. But you're aware of it. You're like, oh, I'm in the past again. Come back to the present.
Yeah, I know.
I think times like those are the testing times, the challenging times where you can use it to grow We can either allow it to completely defeat us, or we can use it as that catalyst to be able to be more present and use it to be like, okay, my mind's really on today. The thing is on my mind, so I'm going to really practice like noticing when I come out the story, because coming into presence is probably one of the best things for stress, because I don't think it can exist in the present moment.
You said a word just now that I think is the answer to all of it, and that is awareness. We're not taught awareness. And as you say, the moment that you bring yourself into awareness, you're in the moment.
Yeah.
And then when you have awareness, you're like, actually, this thing isn't real. It doesn't exist, or it does exist, but it is what it is. You know, but it's this moment of awareness, but we're never taught to be aware. We're just taught to react.
Yeah.
To have the reaction of stress, but never to look or to realize that we can actually be in control of it, because a lot of the time, I would say, like, I'd probably say like 75% of my stress isn't actually real.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like we're creating it with the stories and the thoughts, but we're not the thoughts, with the awareness behind the thoughts. And I know sometimes, I know I said that last time, but I think there's a power in saying things a few times, because that is a powerful one, to keep remembering that I'm not thoughts, I'm the awareness behind the thoughts. And then you can become that observer, and that takes away that emotional attachment to it. And I even like to just, if I'm struggling with some kind of emotion, feel where I feel it in the body, instead of being like, no, I'm not meant to feel this, because that's what all the conditioning and program tells me. Actually be like, okay. And it takes courage to do this. Invite this emotion in, sit with it, see what it wants, and even just see it outside of you, so then you can again observe it more, and just give it like a shape, a color, and just kind of be really curious with it and give it some love. Sounds really cliche, but make friends with it. Make friends with your anxiety. And I'm always like, cool when people say that to me.
I mean, cliches are cliches for a reason, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question. How do you feel where it is in your body?
Mine is always, put the camera down slightly, it's always like in my chest, or in my kind of just in my gut. I like it's around my heart, like it's always there. My heart starts pounding, and yeah, it can be difficult sometimes, like just to even be able to sit with that. I think that's one of the most challenging things. I mean, again, that's a story I'm telling myself. If it's one of the most challenging things, that will come true. Everything we believe will come true, right? Our unconscious mind's job to prove everything right, and it will go out its way to prove it right. So I'm learning, got to be mindful of the words, I'm learning to sit with this, and it's getting easier for me every day. But yeah, I'm not going to sit there and lie and say it's not difficult sometimes, because it is, but I'm here for the challenge.
It's the continual practice, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Rebecca,
yeah, showing up every day. Oh, it vanished.
Yeah.
Where did that chat go?
How do you help with self-care thoughts, loving yourselves, etc., to help with my husband? How do we help with the thoughts? It's a good question.
Where did that comment go? Oh, that's
it popped up here.
Help with
self-care,
loving yourself, etc., to help my husband. What do you mean in helping your husband?
I mean, tips for him? Is that
for him? Because first of all, you can take a horse to water and you can't make it drink. It always comes back to self. I think people will only change if we change ourselves. And if there's a part of us that is trying to change someone else or help someone else or fix them, it's coming from a part of us that actually needs a bit of looking at. Always comes back to self. So when we do the inner work, our perception changes, and the ripple effect helps everyone around us to do it as well.
I think the biggest challenge for me when I started discovering this sort of stuff is I was like, I want everyone to do it. Everyone I know and love needs to do this. You all need help. I know how to fix you. I've got the answer.
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter how much I bang on about it, it doesn't change for other people the way that it changes for us. People have to be ready and they have to be open. Rebecca's replied and said, tips, please. I'm still not sure if we're clear on whether it's tips for you to deal with your husband or whether it's tips for your husband. But what I would say is that you can't force anyone to do anything. The best thing you can do is lead by example. Like if you do the work and he sees you happy, he might want some of that, or he might not be ready for that. Both. You are both on, another cliche, you are both on your own journeys. So I would suggest that you have to find a practice that you resonate with. So for some people it's meditation, for some people it's gardening, for some people it's a yoga practice, for other people it's playing video games, whatever. But you have to find, for both of you individually, not together, the thing that gives you escapism to start with. I would say something that allows you to distract your mind from the monkey chatter of the world. And then the second part of that, which we were just talking about, I believe, is to be consistent with it. That is the hardest part. So find your thing and be consistent is what I would say. I'm going to scroll back down and reread that just to make sure I've understood. So how can you help with self-care thoughts for loving yourself? Well, it says,
and I think I would say as well, is around, again, practicing that mindfulness with your self-talk and raising the awareness with it of any time that you are being harsh on yourself, self-critical, and bringing in that loving element. So just tuning into the heart space, being curious with that thought, even like bringing it outside of you, giving it a name. Mine's Patricia, and I'm like, oh, hey Patricia, you're back again, are you, little inner critic? What you here for? And just being curious and compassionate with that part of yourself that's being hard on you, and bring in more love. So anytime that I hear a really horrible thought that I've said to myself, I'll then switch it for 3 nice thoughts, and that way you can rewire your mindset. And something that you and your partner can bring in together is perhaps at the end of the day just saying 3 things that you guys are grateful for each other, and that might help with the self-love as well, with both of you, and together to do an individual little self-love task and then something together.
something, yeah, that's a nice idea if you can any kind of self-love task. But I want to just say that a self-love task can be anything. Like, it can be anything that you resonate with. And again, I just want to focus on that point of anything that distracts your mind from the monkey chatter noise. Like anything, I think, for me and my husband, we love board games, and so when we need to just chill out and escape, and we don't want to just lose ourselves in Netflix, we play board games, or we make sure that we regularly have that as well. So that is like a good release for us to do together.
I love board games too.
Yeah. Oh, you should come over.
Yay, I was waiting for that.
Yeah, every Thursday evening.
Oh my God, unreal.
Yeah. So that's the thing for us together, but then separately, I do my stuff and he does his stuff. So we have that separateness for our own time and growth, and then we have that togetherness for our couple growth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's important to know if you're spending too much time together, and know when to take a bit of time for yourself as well. Solitude is important on the self-love journey too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, even if it's like, what do I need today to show myself that I am worthy, and to show myself a bit of love, because what me and Luke may tell you is only coming from our perception, and everyone's different. So when you ask yourself a question, you get access to your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind has all the answers. And when we tune into our body and we're still with it, you may get an answer come through that not necessarily would have been there if you was just on that conscious level. So trust in like what comes through. Might just come, it may not come in a form of like this big voice coming through saying go and take a bath or do some eye gazing or go for a walk or whatever. It may come in different signs. So just be open to signs that may come through to be able to give yourself that little bit more self-love.
When you said go take a bath, that just prompted me to ask you a question, because for me, my one daily practice that is an absolute non-negotiator is I have a long hot bath every morning. Nice. Every morning, without, even in the summer, like without fail. I cannot start my day without that bit of self-care. So some people, they do yoga or meditation practice in the morning or walk the dog or whatever. Me, long hot bath. What's your one thing?
My one thing that is non-negotiable now is meditation every morning when I first wake up. It's the best time of day to do it, before bed or in the morning, because your mind's still in that kind of theta, and it's a bit more malleable and like sponge-like.
I'd
So
have
it's a really
accepted
good time
moldable.
to... What?
I said I'd have accepted moldable.
Moldable, yeah, I'm making up loads of words today. But yeah, that's a great time to then tune into gratitude as well, which raises your frequency as well, which is really powerful. Again, just to think about all those things that like we're really blessed for, that often we wake up and think about all the problems, or we're checking our phone straight away, which are one of the worst things to do. And that's again a non-negotiable, which sometimes I slip up with, but not meant to check your phone for the first hour in the morning.
Oh no, I'm terrible. It's the first thing I do.
Yeah. Rely
Okay.
on them so much.
So the other side of this, and I'm conscious we also want to do a pranayama practice, but
Yeah.
emotions was the other side. And I have some thoughts on this that I just want to share from my experience of working with human design, and then you can chip in if you want.
Yeah.
Is that
Sure.
all good?
Yeah.
You. So the biggest thing that I learned through human design was the emotional states of people, it's all about the solar plexus center. And then effectively 50% of people are emotional and 50% of people are considered non-emotional. Doesn't mean you don't have emotions, but let me explain. So as an emotional person, you would have waves of emotions. When you wake up one day on a high, the next day you're on a low, and there's not necessarily a rhyme or a reason. And that can change day by day, moment by moment. But you just have these waves that just happen. And they're not necessarily related to anything. They're just happening, emotional waves. And then the other 50% of people, which are called non-emotional, which are actually better deemed open emotional, are like absorption sponge. They take in everything from the world around them. So let's pretend for a moment, Hayley, that you're an emotional person and I'm a non-emotional. If you're having a wave, maybe on your wave you're a little bit grumpy, I'm going to hang out with you, and then I'm open emotional, so I'm going to be absorbing all of that grumpiness, and then I'm going to start to magnify that, and then I'm going to be like raging, not necessarily that extreme, but I'll take it up a level from grumpy to angry or whatever. And so that was a big eye-opener for me, because I am a non-emotional being. When I'm by myself, I'm cool as a cucumber, totally cool, calm and collected. But when I'm around people, I pick up stuff and I start behaving in the way that they're feeling. And both of my children, for example, are emotional beings, and my husband and I are both non-emotional. And it can be a real challenge for us when the kids are having waves, and then we're absorbing that energy and magnifying it. It can be quite challenging. So I kind of have my view on emotions has changed, is what I'm trying to say, since learning this information. Because actually, when I'm by myself, like I say, I don't really have emotions. So that's quite interesting for me to have learned that.
Yeah. And I think like you have a lot of awareness around it as well, which is really powerful. And as well, just knowing that often when I have, like, I'm a sponge, so maybe I have to look into it, the open emotional, is it?
We'll look up your chart.
Yeah. But yeah, I often have to remind myself, it's not personal, it's their pain being projected, or if someone's treating me badly, or they're in a lot of emotions. And but sometimes that might not even work if you're just absorbing it and then you're feeling that emotion. But so what's the biggest tips for you in moving through that then, when you're taking on people's emotions or just struggling with emotions in general?
So as a non-emotional person, my tips are firstly to step away from people. It's something that I don't know, 3 meters or something away from people, and then you can re-regulate. It's about how the aura works. So you can I can get myself back to cool, calm and collected just by going in another room, so that's all I need. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is what we call emptying out, which is saying, does this belong to me? So I'm feeling something. I don't know. I'm feeling really joyous, but why? And I'm like, and then I think, does it belong to me? And I go, no, actually, I've been hanging out with someone who has been super happy because they're having an emotional high, and I've just absorbed that. So actually, it's not mine. I'm just experiencing it. And we call it emptying out. So if it's a bad emotion that you don't want, you just take it out your head and go, not mine, empty it out. Doesn't belong to me.
That's great.
That works if you're non-emotional. If you're emotional, it's a time thing. You can't go and get yourself back to cool, calm and collected. You need to just wait until you're back to neutral.
Okay.
But just understanding that has changed the dynamics of my relationships with people in general. So it's hugely influential to learn that.
Yeah.
Massive sponge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just reading what Rebecca wrote.
Yeah, same. I saw that too. Yeah. I often just put a little bubble around myself. I do in my meditation in the morning, and I'll just push out white light all over the planet and send everyone healing and love and the whole universe, all sentient beings. But then I'll put a little hematite, like, protective bubble around me. And I think it's really important to not, like, if people are sending negative energy your way, or some people call it like the evil eye or the psychic attacks, I used to think it was good to be like, send this back to the original sender, but apparently actually then just keeps bouncing back to you. So I'm just like, because it's actually not nice to send, like, again, you're sending negative energy their way, even though it came from them. It's still like, I don't think it's really good. So I just transmute that. Yeah. So then I'm just like, anything sent to me, like, bounces off this, I'm protected, call in the guides, archangels, and just transmute it. I mean, not everyone here is going to be like as woo-woo as me in doing stuff like that, but I find the visualization exercises are really powerful. And there's, a lot of things you can do to manage stress and other emotions, but I think the really number one, if you can, is to feel it. And that's what the noting technique is all about. It's all about, actually, instead of fighting and resisting, you're noting it as it's there, and accepting and acknowledging it as well, and just sitting it. Because like you said, you were like, I'm feeling joyous right now. Why is this hitting? It made me laugh, because we don't question those emotions, do we? We only start to resist and struggle and question why when it goes bad. But actually, we're meant to. It's normal to have the ups and the downs. Like, we live in a world of polarity.
We talk about emotions like they're only a negative thing. But there, for as many negative emotions, there are positive emotions, which is why I always try a positive example as well. But for me, the understanding of the difference between two types of people really has changed the way that I navigate in the world.
Yeah, that's powerful.
I love how we brought that back full circle to the meditation technique that we started talking about right at the beginning.
Yeah.
So on that note, shall we do Nadi Shodhana, the alternate nostril breath?
Would love to, yeah.
The reason I've chosen this is because it's a balancing breath. And so when you're talking about stress and emotions, what is it we're all looking for? Balance, rebalance, bringing ourselves back into that neutral zone. So it is an excellent breath for that. I can't do it today because I'm bunged right up.
I was gonna say breathe. That is how you breathe through your nose.
But I can demonstrate it for you and talk you through it, and you guys can do it. And we'll just do it for a couple of minutes, and then if you like the practice, you can take it away with you and play with it. Sound good?
Awesome.
Right. Okay, so we start with our two fingers between our brow and the ajna, and then we want the ring finger on one nostril and the thumb finger on the other. And just turn to the side and see how that's going. Right. And so it's up to you if you want to close your eyes or watch me. So you open the thumb and breathe in through one nostril. And then you close the thumb, open the finger and breathe out. Back in through that same side. Close it, back out through the thumb. Back in through the thumb side. Close it, and then back out through the finger side. We continue like this, so I'll allow you to do it in silence. In through the finger. We'll just do 3 more of those breaths. On that last exhale, we're coming back. So it's quite a simple practice, and of course you can do it for as long or short as you like, but even just those couple of minutes that we've just done will start reducing the stress in your body. It's going to start regulating your circulatory system. Sorry, my phone is now telling me I've got low power.
Yeah, you've totally frozen. There you go, you're back.
So yeah, it's going to help regulate your nervous system. So you really want to be acknowledging the stress and then bringing a practice in that works for you is how I would round that out. And whether that's this practice that we've just done or another thing that works for you, but acknowledge and then use a practice and be consistent with it is my top.
Thank you for that, Luke. That was really powerful. I can feel the difference within me, a lot calmer. And like, I forgot I was on a live at one point, and I'm thinking if someone joins now and they're just looking at me like not talking.
Yeah. And it was only 2 minutes, right?
Wow,
and
yeah, that's all it takes.
2 minutes, right?
Yeah. And I think as well as things like this, I think getting enough sleep is important, and having a good diet. Treat yourself now and again, but if we're just constantly filling our bodies with sugar and all this rubbish food, obviously that's going to have an impact on how we feel as well.
Why don't we make that topic for next time? Because that's a big topic.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay, cool.
Let's talk diet.
And encourage people to ask questions. I like the questions that were coming through today. If anyone else has questions when they jump on next time, we're happy to answer them as well.
Awesome. I'm super excited about that because I'm quite passionate about diet. So yeah, let's definitely do that. That's a great topic.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool.
I'll have a bit to say about that. I was addicted to food for many years and was bulimic for 8 years of my life and managed to overcome that. And I know a lot of women struggle with that and food, and it's a big coping mechanism for some people. So yeah, definitely bring some golden nuggets to that one.
Right, hot topic. We're on it.
Yeah.
All right, lovely to see you and everybody else. And have a wonderful evening. And please do practice that that breathing Nadi Shodhana pranayama technique that I just taught. You know, take that to bed with you tonight and do it before you go to sleep, and just see if it makes a difference.
Thank you so much, Luke. Thank you everyone for joining and all the support. Have a good evening.
Take care.
Bye.